Well, Dr. Group, we were just talking about cigarette smoke, and you were making the distinction about the tobacco that we used to have versus the tobacco where they have intensified it, added all of these chemicals. What was it, 4,000 chemicals? Over 4,000 chemicals they've added to it. It's not your grandfather's tobacco, certainly not your great-great-grandfather's tobacco. It's almost, in a sense, you see this happening throughout our food supply, whether they're modifying the corn or whether they're adding internally with genetic modification or whether they're adding chemicals to the cigarettes to intensify the nicotine. That was 20 years ago that came out in that whistleblower case that eventually went on to 60 Minutes that they made the movie The Insider about. But talk about some of the other issues. We were talking about the sick building syndrome, about the dust, about the skin particles and the mites that are in buildings as we've tried to make them more energy efficient and tighter.
Right. I mean, another thing on the cigarette level is that now they're coming out with these e-cigarettes, and the e-cigarettes, they use propylene glycol in there, and they mix the nicotine in with it, which is antifreeze. So, I mean, that's something that people want to look at and switch to an organic vegetable glycerin or something like that. Now, when I was growing up, both of my parents smoked, and I can remember driving around the car with the windows rolled up and breathing all that in, and the walls we would have to clean or paint every couple of years in my house because they were turning yellow. Wow. So it's a serious situation, but like you said, with the new green technology, we're living in airtight bubbles, and that's not good because there's no circulation. There's no outside air circulation coming in. Everything is in a square, so you have a lot of dust buildup. You have the dander that falls off your skin. You have the chemicals that are being released from all the spray cleaning products in your home, the chemicals that are being released, the radon now, which is big, the carbon dioxide levels in the home. I mean, you look at everything that you have to breathe in. For example, even laying on a memory foam mattress or using a memory foam pillow, you're going to be inhaling toxic fire retardants and volatile organic compounds or carcinogenic gases while you sleep. You know, even as much as getting dry cleaned clothes. I mean, using laundry, perfumed laundry detergent, using perfume, which is, can be toxic. All of these things are things that most people don't even think about in their homes. Look, how many people do you know that cook with Teflon cookware? Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, if you have a bird, if you have a bird within, let's say, 100 feet of a Teflon pan and you're cooking, that bird will keel over and die because of the Teflon fumes that you're breathing in.
Really?
Yes.
Boy,
Yes.
Literally a canary in the coal mine.
A lot of people lose their pet birds and because they keel over dead because the gas is released from the Teflon during cooking. So there's a lot of exposure to toxic chemicals, and the bad thing is you can't really smell a lot of them and you can't see a lot of them. So you're walking around in an environment, especially if you live in the South and you have, humidity, you might have mold that gets up behind your walls, mildew. You see it in the shower a lot of times where you have the little black spots of mold and mildew in the shower. So it's really about reducing the amount of chemicals that you're breathing in on a daily basis. We take 35,000 breaths of air every single day. Oxygen is the #1 most important thing that we need to survive, and oxygen in itself is a powerful detoxifier of a lot of these chemicals. The problem is we have a lack of oxygen and an increase in chemicals. So what we need to do is we need to increase that oxygen level back up and decrease that chemical level down. That's the solution. So,
and to clarify, when we're talking about a sick building syndrome, I mean, a good engineer is going to make it not only thermally tight, but he's also going to make sure that the air is recirculated a certain number of times and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of people who are just making tight buildings. And we're not alarmists because, as you pointed out, respiratory disease has gone from the 8th leading cause of death to the 3rd leading cause of death.
And that's just in the last 10 years. That's astronomical figures. I mean, we're talking the 3rd leading cause of death right now is respiratory illness. It's one of the reasons why so many people have contacted us to put together some sort of support formula for their lungs. I mean, something that can act as a natural lung support vitality formula. And Alex asked me to work on that as well, and that's why we're introducing, INFOWARS Life is introducing the Lung Cleanse formula. It's a natural support formula that people can use on a daily basis, especially when you see the clouds up in the sky, not the clouds, but the chemtrails, and the chemtrails are The lines from the plane that do not absorb like a contrail will, it'll dissolve over a period of time.
The persistent contrails.
The persistent, but here's the thing, respiratory illness, I mean, even if you're healthy, you're still breathing in massive amounts of chemicals on a daily basis unless you live in the middle of the forest somewhere. It's really important for me to address the causes of what's causing all these illnesses and what's causing the damage to all of us. We know now that air is one of the top things that's causing us damage. So what do? We come up with a solution for that. How can you increase your oxygen levels in your home? Put live plants, 3 live plants in each room of your house. Plants absorb toxins and carbon dioxide, and they emit oxygen. Second thing, support your lungs with a good lung vitality formula like Lung Cleanse, which is available at InfoWarsLife.com now. These are some of the things that you can do. Eat live foods, which are going to provide you with good water and oxidative vitamin C and vitamin E. Those are some of the things that are going to protect you as good antioxidants. And avoid, one of the solutions to shutting all these companies down that are producing all these toxic chemicals is to just not buy from them anymore, Next time you need to go get some sort of chemical cleaners or herbicides for your yard or, any type of carpet cleaners or air fresheners or anything that you use in your home that is completely chemical-based and toxic, look online for natural alternatives, go to a natural organic food store and buy the organic replacements. I mean, you can't put a price on your health. I mean, it might be $1. Read the label.
It takes you a little bit of time to do the research, but then you know what product to get, and it's just the habit at that point.
Yeah,
you don't have to make that decision every time you make the purchase. You make it once you figure out what you're going to buy, and then you know by reading the label.
And one of the easiest things that I recommend people do is to get a whole house air purification system that just keeps the air clean in your house at all times. I personally recommend the REME unit, the REME. I don't have any ties to the company or not, but you can put it in your HVAC system, and that means it purifies the air throughout your whole house and it comes down. And the way that it happens is most toxins are positively charged, and this puts out ionized hydroperoxides, which is exactly what you're going to find in a perfect natural environment in the mountains somewhere, that are going to neutralize the toxins and then make them a little bit bigger molecular size, and they'll fall to the floor. So it's just taking steps. I mean, even if you can afford one of those, which I think they're around $600, even the smaller air purification systems that you put in your rooms in your house will do wonders. But you got to remember, I mean, especially in the bedroom is what I tell people, because hopefully everybody's sleeping 8 hours every night like they're supposed to. That's right. And that's when you really need clean air to help your body heal. And if you are sleeping on fabric that's not conducive to your body, or you're sleeping on memory foam stuff, I mean, you definitely want to look into organic latex mattresses and organic bedding, because and you definitely don't want any air fresheners in your room or any type of toxic chemicals in your
Get some natural plants.
Yeah. And definitely put plants in your bedroom.
Yeah, that's great.
And even opening the windows and letting the natural air come in. I mean, we have a lot of fossil fuels that are out there, but I mean, if you live in an area where indoor air the EPA did a study and they found that indoor air is 10 times worse than outdoor air, even in infected areas. So open your windows, especially when it rains outside. After about the first 5 or 10 minutes of rainfall, most of the toxic chemicals that are in the sky are going to be on the ground, and then open your windows as much as you can and let it air out naturally. That doesn't cost you anything, and it's great to do, especially when it's raining. I
used to always love it in Florida in the summer. It would rain every single afternoon. You could practically set your clock by it, and the air was always so great after it rained. It was really a great cleansing. Well, thank you so much for these tips. That's really important. We're very concerned about people's health, and we need to all take the steps that we need to do to protect our own health, to protect our family. And part of that is education. Thank you so much for letting us know and sounding the alarm about how this has become now the 3rd highest cause of death. It's really amazing. I wasn't aware of that myself.
Yeah, it's going at an alarming rate. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Dr. Group.
You are watching the INFOWARS Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at INFOWARSnews.com. Members can share their passcode with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.